What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is AkeemHaynes. I'm a two-time Olympian, Olympic bronze medalist, author, motivational speaker, and sports commentator. On my channel, we talk boxing, MMA, track and field, and of course, motivation and encouraging content. If this is something that you enjoy, then I hope that you subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into the video. As the year comes to an end and a new one takes its place, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has subscribed to the channel, checked out the videos, liked, comment, shared your respective thoughts on each fighter. For those that have shared their hard-earned money by way of donation, sent a super thanks, or set up a payment plan, look, it truly does mean a lot. Your support means a lot, and it really does go a long way in the growth of this channel. We have a whole bunch of different things that I'm working out for the new year and going to try to bring you guys in the new year. So just want to say thanks. I see all the comments. I see everything. Your support is greatly appreciated, and it does mean a lot. So I figured for the last video of the year, it's only right that we do a video giving out some awards based on the year that we've had so far. So you know me, I like to get into it. So let's start with the fight of the year. Now, a lot of other channels may have similar things or they may have different things, but for me, the fight of the year is Leigh Woods versus Michael Conlan is my fight of the year. Now, I don't think any of us expected it to end how it did. But first, right, the atmosphere was crazy. That was probably the loudest atmosphere that I have seen, heard, and felt, and I wasn't there live. You know, and in my track and field, I've competed in front of crowds that's 40,000, 50,000 people. And that watching it was louder than some of the arenas that I was competing in, right? It was rocking. You could tell that the atmosphere was crazy in that fight, right? Like Conlan was having his way in the fight early. He was completely dialed in and locked in. Knocked him down with the looping left hook in the first round. Conlan was gaining confidence. He was having his way, but then Wood just keeps coming. He showed tremendous hard composure when he was in trouble. He just kept fighting, kept digging, and kept fighting, and kept biding his time, and kept coming forward and not giving up. And in the 11th round, Wood got the job done and knocked him clean out of the ring, which was just crazy because he was out cold. I was not expecting this fight to be the fight of the year for me when I was looking at it on paper. But that's the beautiful thing about sports is you never know how it's going to unfold until they get into the ring. It was a great performance from both men. I don't think either of them have anything to hang their heads about. But in that fight, it goes to show you that boxing isn't always just about skills and talent. Sometimes heart and determination can help you even the score in those categories. So the other one, the runner-up for me, was Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. I mean, we saw the number in that fight. We saw the atmosphere in that fight. A lot of people were saying, man, you know, a lot of promoters were saying, you know, women can never sell out boxing. Well, they proved them wrong in so many different fronts. That was an amazing fight, and I can't wait to see these two women do it again. Now, let's go to number two, the breakthrough fighter of the year for me, Jesse Bam Rodriguez. He fought 3 times this year, won all 3, but really solidified himself in the division as a champion in his performance against the hard-hitting Siskaret Sarung Visai, a guy who has 43 wins by knockout, a guy who beat Roman Gonzalez, aka Chocolatito, twice, as well as a win over Juan Francisco Estrada. Bam completely took him apart in impressive fashion. This was his best performance today. He didn't only dominate that fight, right? But it's how he dominated that fight. You can come in and knock someone out with one shot, right? As we saw with Deontay Wilder and Robert Helenius. But I wouldn't say that's a dominant win, right? Wilder is a puncher and we expect him to knock people out. But if we see him outboxing his opponent half the fight and then adding the power and getting the KO, it would make his win that much more impressive, right? But how Bam won his fight was the most impressive thing to me. The movement, the angles he took, how he fought on the inside against someone who people were saying don't do that. How he was responsible enough not to get too complacent, knowing when to engage and knowing when to take a step back. It was impressive because he dissected a puncher. He dissected someone who was causing havoc in that division. He broke through this year for me, and he's a young champion that isn't going to back down from anyone. That is why my breakthrough fighter of the year is Jesse Bam Rodriguez, prospect of the year. Now, this was a tough one, but I really side going either two ways for me. To me, it was either between Keyshawn Davis or Jared Big Baby Anderson. But for me, I'm going with Jared Anderson because of how he dominated his last fight, Jerry Forrest. Jared Anderson, he's a very talented heavyweight, and he continues to improve and show us something different each fight. 13 fights, 13 knockouts. In the beginning, right, you could tell in his career he was searching for the knockout, trying to force it. But as the fights went on, he is learning to let it come to him, that he has the skills and the talent and the IQ to break down his opponent, setting up the right shots, dialing in his shot selection and placement, and making every shot count. He's developing that ring IQ in real time. And I think every fighter has a level of ring IQ, but can you do it in real time when you need to? Can they slow it down if the pace is going too fast? Can they tie up if they are in danger? Can they not move in desperation if they are in trouble? Can they remember the game plan when the game plan may not be working? How do they handle the emotion of the ring? What's the subtle changes they need to make with their feet, their angles, their stances? That is what I think about when I think about ring generalship and ring IQ. And Jared Anderson, he's doing just that. He's developing inside the ring in front of our eyes. Being able to do that in real time isn't easy, but so far, Jared Anderson is applying a little bit of that in different forms each fight. I'm not saying Keyshawn Davis has not been doing that. He has been doing that against guys who has fought 3 times more fight than he has done. But for me, I'm going with Anderson. I wouldn't say he's ready for a top 5 heavyweight just yet, but a few more fights, I think he'll be there. Let's go down to number 4, the fighter of the year. For me, Devin Haney. I know a lot of people are saying Dimitri Bivol, and I have no issues with that whatsoever. Dimitri Bivol came in, right, got the win against Canelo convincingly, and then doubled that back and got a convincing win against Zurdo Ramirez, right? So no quarrels if you are picking Dimitri Bivol. But for me, I'm going Devin Haney because of everything that came into how he won the title, right? He went down to George Kambosos' home country, right? He was getting the runaround with his dad not being able to come and other members of his coaching staff not being able to come, all the crowd noise going against him. He agreed to every single stipulation that George Kambosos wanted to make the fight happen, and he did that just to make the fight happen. Right. So he said, look, it doesn't matter what you want to do. I'm down for it because I believe in my skills. Let's just make it happen. And that is someone who is fighting for legacy. There's a lot of people that say they want their big fights, but they don't want to make it happen. They won't go through whatever it takes to make it happen. Right. And he said, I want the chance to become undisputed. It's all that matters, right? And to be able to block all of that and still get the job done is remarkable because that is a hard feat to do. We never questioned who was the better boxer here, right? We knew he could do it physically, but not letting the mental frustration drain him, not letting the external stuff get to him isn't an easy feat. Right? Quick example. People always ask me, what is the biggest stress at the Olympics? And many might think it's the actual race, but it's really the mental back and forth that you go leading up to that race that can actually derail you from getting the job done in the actual race. You can be in great shape, but your mind not be in your body. And that causes you not to perform at the best that you can. And so for everything, the lead up to it, not to mention, he went back again. He didn't have to even fight George Kambosos a second time if he didn't want to, but he honored the rematch clause. He honored what he said that he would do, and he went back down there, gave him another chance to win again, and he dominated again, right? So for me, it's just everything going into the year that Devin Haney had and the backstory behind it, right? All the challenges and everything that got him the win. That is why he was the fighter of the year for me, because he didn't have to do any of that. He could have went a different route, but he wanted to take the fight. He wanted to become undisputed. No excuses. Just give me the opportunity and I will come out on top, not only once, but twice. Fighter of the year on the women's side. Now, this could go 3 ways for me, right? Because they all fought the same amount and fought for the belts and had at least one incredible performance, right? So you could go Clarissa Shields, right? Dominated Emma Kozan and a great one-sided win against Savannah Marshall, she made that fight look easy, right? We knew the possibility of that fight could be one-sided, right? But many people didn't think it was going to be as easy as it was. But how she won was impressive, and what she continues to do is even more impressive, right? So you could go Clarissa Shields, you could go Katie Taylor, right? The Fight of the Year candidate against Amanda Serrano, right? She showed us a different level of toughness that many of us didn't know that she had. And to come back down from that high and fight a good fighter in Karen Kerbahal, right, to finish the year, she had a big year in performance we'll be talking about for years to come against Amanda Serrano, and we'll see it again down the road, hopefully, right? So you can put Katie Taylor in that mix. Then you can throw in Alicia Baumgardner. She beat up on Edith Mathias every round, and she took Michaela Mayer's title and unified her belts. There's no denying her talent and what she's been able to do, right? So for me, I'm going Clarissa Shields, though. I think the fact, again, is the whole story lead up to that fight against Savannah Marshall, going to her part of the world and fighting in front of the home crowd. And the moment never looked too big for her in that fight, and how she performed in that moment and how she was able to seize that moment and that time. Fighter of the Year on the women's side, for me, Clarissa Shields. Now we got two more categories. The next category up is the upset of the year. Hector Luis Garcia versus Chris Colbert. This was the upset of the year because Chris Colbert was on a hot streak, right? He was doing work against the guys that he was in. I don't think Chris Colbert expected the night to go like how it did. That's one of the things when you take someone you haven't really seen too many film on and you accept a fight, right? When you expect someone on short notice, usually, right, you're expected to do work. But sometimes when you take a fight on short notice, you get a mystery bag. And that mystery bag turns out to be a really good fighter. And Hector Luis Garcia was that really good fighter, and he was ready for the moment. He was ready for the opportunity, and he seized that moment. And now he's getting a big payday against Gervonta Davis next year. Hopefully we get to see that. Hopefully it's not in jeopardy, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, right? But in that fight, Garcia showed composure. He showed great skill and seized the moment. And it was just an impressive performance on a short notice fight that he took. That was an upset of the year for me. Now let's keep going to the knockout of the year, right? When we talk about knockout of the year, I'm looking at it at a shot that takes their opponent out within one sequence. And for me, it came down to two guys. Joe Cordina's knockout over Kenichi Ogawa was one of the cleanest shots that I've seen this year. The moment he let the hand go, it connected flush on his chin, and you could tell there was no way Ogawa was going to get up after that shot landed. It was a beautiful timing, beautiful connection. That was a great knockout for me. And in that fight, a lot of people were saying Ogawa was going to be too much for Cordina. As I was breaking that video down, I just felt like, man, a lot of people are underestimating Cordina. I didn't think he was going to knock him out like that. Right. But Joe Cordina showed that, man, he is here to stay, that he is here, and he's got that power to back it up with the skills that he does have. Now, the other one was one that we saw recently, and that was Caleb Plant's KO over Anthony Dorrell. Was an impressive one for me as well, because let's be honest, we don't really look at Caleb Plant as a puncher. Didn't really expect that in him. Right? We knew he's an exceptional boxer, but the type of power that he put forth in that shot, man, it was impressive to say the least. I mean, he probably put a little bit more on it because of the back and forth that was going on between them, right? But Caleb hit the body and then came through with the left hand to close out the show. Man, that was a beautiful, beautiful knockout performance from Caleb Plant. And if this is the type of power and force that Caleb Plant is starting to put forth, man, he just might be a problem for anybody that he comes in the ring with next, especially David Benavidez. But we'll see how that one goes. So there you have it, right? 7 categories, 7 winners, plus some honorable mentions. So those are the award winners for me this year. I would love to know your thoughts for these categories. Who do you have in these categories? Let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear who you place in these categories, and we can have a discussion about it. If you'd like to support the video, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Big shout out to everyone that that is donated to the channel in some way, some form. It really does mean a lot, and it truly does go a long way, and it's much, much love to each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this time, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next year.